Right, welcome to Trekking Through Trek, a visual podcast where we warp through each and every episode of Star Trek until we all eventually sail on to Sto-Vo Kor. I'm your host, Nick Wright, and I'd like to introduce my co-hosts tonight, Peter Stolmeyer.
Oh.
Chris Wright.
Hey.
Kim Thompson.
Hello.
And James Panto.
Hello.
All right, so tonight we are doing Lower Decks Season 1, Episode 3, which was Temporal Edict. So I don't know. Anybody got any kind of general thoughts before we get into the, I don't know. I don't want to say spoilerly part because if you're watching this, you better have watched the episode. I don't know why you're here. Get out of here.
I
like not like, I thought thought there were some good moments in it for sure.
I think we should start with the novice of our party. James, what did you think?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a weird word to use when we're only in the third episode and we don't really know what the purpose of this show is yet, but this was full-on filler episode to me. Not necessarily bad, just filler. You can completely skip this episode and not miss anything.
This may very well be the future of the show, going by memory, because Lower Decks is filler. That's the thing. You're the Lower Decks. The ship itself is Lower Decks.
The filler of
this might be as much excitement as you can expect.
See, and I viewed this episode more as character building, which was like as the focus, as the point of the episode. You learned more about Mariner and why she does what she does. You learned more about Boimler and why the way his brain works. You learned more about Captain Freeman's weaknesses as a captain and her insecurities. You learned more about what's his name with the
Ransom.
Shirt
Ransom.
off.
Yeah.
Ransom. You learned more about who he was as a person and as a leader. Also, that he does the Star Trek.
Everybody does the interlocked fist.
It's so terrible.
So I'll give you the character development for Ransom and for the captain, but like we didn't learn anything about Mariner or Boimler that we didn't learn in the first two episodes.
I mean, we learned that
That's
Mariner kind of has the hots for Ransom, even though she doesn't want to.
Reluctant hots.
And she has taken ones for the team, which noticing how earlier we were talking about how she is very self-centered, she has gotten hurt in order to save people with her. But I can see why you would say that it's a lot less, it was a lot less moving the characters forward as it was putting them in a sticky situation and realizing, no, it's okay. We're going to do this the Lower Decks way.
Yeah, I understand your concern, but like, are we going to do the slides this time?
Yeah, I got slides.
Because I'm actually thinking about the very first thing. Like that sets the tone perfectly.
Oh, that's a good way to segue into it. So.
Right. What's for real though? Because one of the things I like about any shows and any of these continuities, if they acknowledge it, and this could have happened on any of the shows, but they'll only really bother to do it when it's a comedy and people say, oh, it's not important. They do those classical recitations all the time. Like you bring your culture and you present it in the bridge, and they're so high class, I guess is the word, that they sit there quietly and they watch you do a virtuoso piano performance, and then you go and you never do it again. Right. So I love the fact that they're doing that. And every once in a while, a crisis happens while you're doing that. And someone would run in and tell you to stop. And Boimler's reaction is, what? He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Which I guarantee you, it's funny, but I guarantee you that even Worf would have done that. If somebody ran in and said, Worf, stop doing that, he would have gone, oh, shit, I'm sorry.
I've
like
dishonored
instead
myself.
of Klingon style. Yeah, he'd be like, am I too loud? Right? Like, this is the kind of content I want on any of the shows. So I'm getting the actual thing I'm asking for right off the bat, the first thing. You might see it as a throwaway gag, but I'm like, this has to happen. Sometimes Darth Vader gets his cape stuck in the elevator, like sometimes that happens. But we can't stop and talk about that ever. A better example, sometimes he has to be in an adjacent room so that he could burst into that meeting at the right moment. You've disappointed me, Admiral, which means for 15 minutes, Darth Vader's just sitting in a room. Right?
Just listening in.
Yeah. And in one of the movies, you can't get away with it because you got to keep him serious. But if there was a show, you could do that every once in a while, and that's what this show does. And so,
Yeah.
first scene, I'm already engaged in a way that is not gaggy.
Yeah, but I mean, as a cold open, it was fine, and then just nothing happened after that.
And of course, she would play classic rock, ancient rock, I guess they would call it on this show.
Yeah. I want to know how she got Tendy to.
Tendy.
Yeah, Tendy's all up on it. Like she's into it.
Well, and this our music comes up again later. Not for a while, but it does come up again later, and they don't touch back to this per se, but it definitely references back to this.
Yeah, I'm a little actually surprised in the later reference, which I won't spoil, but that they don't remember this, because like Tendy's just hardcore into this. Mariner's right there with her, so obviously they've had some conversations, but
yeah, that's true.
They all do. They all talk about what they're going to do on talent night on the ship. That's a thing that all the ships do.
Yeah.
What I find interesting is here is like, obviously they've got wireless technology for this amp to connect the amp to the guitar. It's like she got it's like a classic looking amp, like, you know, one we have now, but there's no wire to it. So it's not like a direct replica of something we have around today. Somebody did some work on it.
I love it.
I just love this shot of Boems getting pissed off here.
Abby has brought me Earl Grey tea and the official next gen replicated glass.
Excellent.
You know, when we get to the main story, I happened to watch this at a time when my business partner could have used it a little about the downtime. So just saying, this is something that actually resonates as true as me as a
oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's
yeah. I mean, it's
capitalism.
I think it's something that a lot of people can relate to, but
yeah.
So one thing I wanted to point out here is I don't believe for a second that Klingons would be offended by hearing classic rock.
Booming bass.
Booming bass. Yeah. That's the one thing I don't.
He'd be like, what is this pleasant melody that you have?
Yeah, like I like this.
I have nothing to back this up. It's just funny that you mention it. At Dragon Con, they usually have, well, not usually, sometimes they have Klingons on motorcycles, you know, listening to heavy metal, driving on the street. And you look at it and you're like, oh, wow, that fits perfectly. And I've always had the feeling that a Klingon would go, what is this offensive bullshit? Like, what makes you think I would like this? And then they point to all these things we think they would like. You think I like loud motorcycles in this kind of guitar? And you're like, oh yeah, I totally think that. And they're just like, that is offensive on a level that's hard to explain to you. Like, I don't know why I've always felt that way.
I think it's interesting because like a lot of what we know about Klingons we get like through Worf, who is like the most non-Klingon Klingon. Yeah. Like, you know, he only listens to opera, Klingon opera, and it's great. I love it. But like when you see them go to like a Klingon party, there's like this like heavy metal-ish inspired music. And so that's why I think Klingons would really dig this.
Yeah.
Worf is a little different in that. Yeah. Like he lives a Klingon ideal that never existed.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why he likes stuff that nobody else likes.
I think it's funny that, like, you know, basically Quark was kind of the template for you know, all the Ferengis going forward after that, and like, you know, Saru's the template for the Kelpians. They got Worf on there, and they're like, you know what? Nah, all the Klingons are nothing like this guy. Okay, you see, yeah, it's like I'm gonna play a Klingon on Star Trek. Okay, well, I'm gonna base my performance on Worf. It's like, no, you do the opposite of that.
Well, we could get into Worf at some point. I find him really interesting, the way he's reserved, and he's done the samurai code. Everyone's around him going, dude, that's not the way it works. It's like, but the book says, and they're like, the book? You're supposed to wave it around, not read it. but the best part is they're right. He's wrong. Like, he is living an honorable life, but he is definitely like not doing it correctly. I've always liked that juxtaposition with him.
Like Rosie's there. Hi, Rosie.
Yeah, hi, Rosie.
Hello.
Yeah.
Also, this Klingon may just be picking a fight. He might have been offended about it no matter what.
Just an excuse.
So of course, Boems gets blamed for that.
Of course he does.
Shax comes and breaks his little violin.
I will say that whole like I'm gonna step back a little bit to the talent idea. I love how that has been a thing throughout Star Trek, and it's based on what the actors could play, even if what they could play was badly.
I didn't know that.
Oh no, like Riker plays trombone because Jonathan Frakes plays trombone.
Yeah.
Kim plays clarinet because he like played clarinet in high school or something.
Does that mean Spiner plays violin?
I believe so.
Probably.
Like it might not be synced up to the actual music because that is very hard, but on a technical video standpoint, I watched a whole thing on it. But yeah, I believe so. I mean, it might be terrible at it, but I believe so.
Oh, and
they
the
can always
doctor
dub over
sings.
good sound.
And the doctor does sing.
The doctor sings. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
According
to Heavy.com and according to Grushecki.com, whoever the heck that is. Thanks, Grushecki. Spiner cannot play the violin. However, he does have a successful singing career.
Oh yes. I have a copy of Old Yellow Eyes' back. The official one, the reprint with the actual Yellow Eyes. Brent was very keen in like 1997 that you buy the official one and not the bootleg. This will come up eventually, so talent's a good time to do it. If I lived in the Star Trek universe, I would. I might have brought this up before. I would be an expert on data studies. I would study the android, like that's what I would do for a living. This robot sat down and made his own orchestral score, and then played it, and then painted, and nobody cares. And I'm like, how do you know this painting is good? Data would be like the actual thesis I would write on this guy. And he does respond to emails. So I would be emailing him and he'd be writing me back. And I would have this, like, whatever this equivalent of a YouTube channel is. Like, I would just 100% be into data and what it means that he can do these things. So
you would
whenever I think of him,
work for the Datastrom Institute.
I probably wouldn't even bother because I wouldn't have to, because it's a scarcity free society. I could do whatever the hell I want, and data responds to emails. So I would forward it to Daystrom, but they probably wouldn't be interested either, actually, because they'd be interested in the mechanics and not this dude did a painting and he thinks it's good. How is that not blowing your goddamn? How is that not blowing your mind?
We can cost on. We've never been family friendly here.
Okay. Anyway, I'm sure that will come up again at some point. So yeah, it's just amazing to me. I would have his whole collection, these whole hollow projectors and stuff. It'd be amazing.
Okay. So I guess getting into the actual meat of the show. So there's going to someplace very important to have a very important historic once in a lifetime summit, and then they're like, no, you guys go and deliver this stuff elsewhere. So obviously that's got the captain not too happy with it.
And they threw in a slam at Cardassia.
Yeah, they did.
Did they?
mean,
yeah.
I mean, nobody wants to go there because, yeah.
Oh, well, you know why nobody wants to go there, right, James?
No.
It's caveman times there.
Oh.
Yeah, this is after the Dominion War. They absolutely nuked that planet. Going to Cardassia is a real bummer. The sky probably hasn't even cleared up yet. Even with their technology, it's probably still overcast with a nuclear winter. You guys didn't catch that?
Oh yeah, no, I thought about that.
I was right there with them. I was like,
end of DS9.
But I think the Admiral explicitly says that they're creepy, and I think that that was kind of weird, but okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I mean, to be fair, some Cardassians are very creepy.
I mean, Gul Dukat, yes, but once again, not the only.
Before you get off
Cardassian.
this slide, I just want to again mention the kind of the aesthetics that this show has. They don't like to create new sets because they didn't in the original show. So this is clearly the captain's ready room, almost at the same angle, and they've just put other random shit on the shelf. And it's all nautical stuff, right? Like, why would you have endless nautical things? It's because they went to the prop department and gathered up all this nautical stuff and stuck it on the. This is clearly right over there. They filmed this right over there. just pointing out that they do that on purpose on this cartoon show.
That is valid.
Yeah. Nice attention to detail. Oh God, yeah. Rosie says I thought that was a pun on the last name of a certain famous family.
You can tell a big Star Trek fan from like a regular person, because a regular person will say, yeah, that's the show with the Kardashians, right? And then I have a hard time saying that. And I usually say, yeah, that's that show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, right? Like I can't say it correctly unless I really concentrate like I did just now.
Like that's Goldacott and his spoiled daughters, right? You know, like that's what that is.
You are not wrong.
Space Bravo.
Weird on that is that I've never actually seen a Kardashian. Just mentioning, right. I'm not bragging or anything. It's just that their advertising campaign, whatever it is that they do for a living that brings them up all the time, never comes into my sphere of influence. I never see like a commercial with them in it, or a show, or a commercial for their show. It's just, I guess I don't watch whatever channel they're on.
Or you don't share a name with one of them.
Well, no, everybody knows who they are, but seriously, I might, if I ran into one, I would not know, and they probably would be surprised, but I've never seen them. Maybe that one champagne, I've seen them naked, the champagne and the bouncing off her butt thing. But yeah, on the street, I don't know what they do or what they look like or why they're famous at all.
Okay. Most people don't know why they're famous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did set that up, didn't I? No, I just mean like for real. For real, they could be like, I know who Paris Hilton is, for example, and I know why they're famous, and I know what their family history is, but it's just never come across. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm not. Again, I am not bragging. I'm just saying that even after saying that, all these years later, I still have not been like, oh, there's a Kardashian in this movie. Like it never.
I mean, are they in movies? Do they act?
I don't think.
Sorry,
so.
I didn't. I was just giving you an example. Whatever it is they do.
I don't know.
But you have unknown unknowns about the Kardashians.
I understand there's like 7 of them, right? And they do things in the entertainment business in some way, because you see them. You hold on. Maybe it's not just me. Have you guys ever seen one?
Yeah.
I mean,
I only know Kim Kardashian was married to Kanye West. That's about it. Like I don't keep up with that kind of stuff.
Don't they have a TV show or something?
Yeah,
they did. And then there's going to be a new one apparently.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That like not even an advertise. I've never even seen them guest star on a sitcom I do watch as themselves, which has got to be a thing they've done, right?
I don't know. I believe they mostly are famous for being famous, and that is the end of that statement.
Mm-hmm. Well, they got to be at least as famous as like Elon Musk, and I've seen that guy on TV because he was on Rick and Morty one time. He's been on Saturday Night Live. I've seen the man. I know what he looks like. These super famous people, famous for being pretty, and I could not pick them out of a lineup. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying it's weird. It's weird how their spheres don't come into mind. I don't know how that happens.
All right. I don't know how we segue from Kardashians into what's happening here, but
there's like a force.
You know how you'd like to
my
shoot
life
your screen
and theirs.
I like that they are effective. They are effective at doing their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
There, that was a job. They did it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So one thing about this scene, I don't know if like she's just joking after this, but like she's like, "Oh, don't worry, it was set to stun."
I think that was specifically for the gag.
I don't think she was joking, but
it didn't.
I read that.
At least the force field worked.
Yeah,
I read that as a reference to First Contact. Because when Lily has the phaser and Picard takes the phaser from her, the line is, "You could have vaporized me, but it's also you could have given me a rather nasty rash." Both lines, because I read the original script back in '97, and that was in there, and I kind of I don't know, since I read it, I assumed the rest of the world did and knew that was a reference to First Contact.
See, I think it's got to be a joke on her part, because later on in the episode, Ransom mentions the only reason she's going on the away mission is because of her phaser skills. So I'm like, she knows what she's doing with that phaser. Like, there's no way.
That's fair. Yeah. she just wanted to put a little bit of the fear of Beckett into Boimler there.
Yeah. Put some chaos into it.
If there was any criticism of the show, it's that right there. Stop trying to put a little. Stop trying to get him to fear you. It's working. Stop. He's already dead.
So they go into the discussion of what buffer time is, and everybody, most people who are familiar with Star Trek would probably associate that with Scott, Mr. Scott from the original series. It's like, oh, Captain, it's gonna take 12 hours, and then you come to find out, oh, yeah, it'll only take 6. But that was actually explicitly spoken about in Next Gen when Commander Scott came back. I guess it was Captain Scott at that point. And he was talking to Geordi about it, and he was like, how long did you tell him it would take? And he was like, I told him it would take 4 hours. Like, you didn't tell him how long it would really take, did you?
Yeah.
How do you expect to be known as a miracle worker?
That's exactly what Lower Decks is all about. You know it was true, and they don't have time to say that shit on TV. So Scotty came back and made that canon because he said it out loud. That's what this show does. It takes all that stuff that I'm always thinking, that's totally what they're doing, and then making it canon. I love it.
That's true.
This is what's happening on Next Gen. They would do some work, and then they would chill out for a while. Yeah. There are things to say, which would get too complicated now, about a scarcity-free society and how many hours are actually required to work and why you joined Starfleet in the first place, that would say this is absolutely the way to do it. You work a little bit and then you take a 45-minute break. It's the only way to survive in an automated future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I think the point of I'm going to go ahead and say the point of buffer time, or the criticism on all of this, is you need that time to be human in order to do a good job. You need to not be pressed all the time.
Yeah.
I
was thinking like this is kind of like I was thinking this is kind of like a anti-productivity millennial stuff that we like
a pushback against hustle culture.
Yeah, like we see it all the time where it's like, oh, if you do this little tweak, you can get this done faster, and then you can do the next thing, and then the next thing, and then you never stop. There's no time for resting and enjoying the things that you've done.
That will come to an end.
Well, I think we're already kind of seeing that with their Great Resignation and people quiet.
Well, I think we're already seeing it with most middle America. When they go to work, they spend a lot of time in buffer time acting like they're working. That is how it is now. It's coming.
How it's always been,
Eventually, we're going to admit out loud that that's the way it is, and why are we pretending it's not? That's going to happen eventually.
I think it's the same in like corporate culture, but also when we talk about people who build their own businesses, there's this idea that if you're not working, you're not succeeding. And I think that's kind of the toxic mentality that they're trying to point out here. So
yeah,
and you noticed that when you went back to work, you actually were more productive at home because there's so many distractions when you go back into the office.
And there was lots of buffer time when you went home.
Yeah, there's always
before that.
Yeah, it was. But even at the office,
at home, I have productive buffer time.
Yeah, and your buffer time at the office is people walking by and talking to you for 45 minutes while you're supposed to be working on your stuff.
Productive buffer time, or did you check to see what Trump was doing on Twitter that day? I mean, I am actually defending what this episode is about. Is that leave it alone? Leave it alone. You're actually wrong about it. And why should we pretend because you're the boss? We should pretend that this is important. All right, that's why I'm sticking to it. Yeah, buffer time. Down.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So we see Captain Freeman getting pretty upset about it and basically going and giving everybody a hard time about it. Over here, somebody talking about buffer time, and then pressures blames to tell her what it's all about. And of course, he cracks.
Of course, he does.
Well, the scene out of all of those of her just roaming the ship is when she goes to the bar area or whatever their version of Temporal is or whatever. And just there's so many people in there, and anytime you see that in TNG, it's always packed with people. It's never, two people in there.
And I guess the question is, are those people off duty or are they on duty and just taking a break?
Right.
You can drink, by the way. Synthahol, because it came up recently when Rios and over in Picard was enjoying real alcohol. Synthahol does get you drunk. It just lets you shake it off. So you actually can get tipsy by drinking a beer while you're working, because you can just shake it off when it's important.
I thought it just didn't give you a hangover. Like,
no, you can shake it off. Yeah, I'm sure that's the canon answer. Now, because it's 60 years worth of writers, and obviously some of the current writers don't know, you can probably find some examples saying otherwise, but that is what it does. So yeah, you could totally have a margarita. No harm, really.
Nice. Which explains why even Boimler was like, he was the first one to kick back. You see, his is empty.
Yeah, I'm sure Mike McMahon agrees with me. It's a question like I'm sure the very next episode of whatever Star Trek comes out, they're going to get drunk, and it's going to be exactly what you said. But right now I'm telling you that's how Synthahol works, and that's why it's so great, and that's why real, forgive me, alcoholics, like people who alcohol fans, people who enjoy the properties of alcohol, don't like Synthahol because they don't like the lack of consequence. That's what it's about. So, and I'm sure the writers knew that up until recently. So that just sharing something I'm 100% true. I'm 100% sure is true on screen.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair.
I do love this shot. This is great. Just looming forward.
I don't know what you're talking about. She's not scary.
It reminds me of that scene from Alien where it's like, up against her face.
I do like this, but I have a problem with her not knowing what it is.
Right.
Yeah, like you would think that, she was an ensign at some point.
Right, exactly.
It might just be called something else.
True.
And I will say this from my old job, like my first year in my big, huge, for real adult job. One of my coworkers, because we worked for the government sector, got busted from a position of authority down to a medium worker. Like he kept his job, but that's the level he was stuck at. And being in the level that was next to me, he literally in meetings would say, people in authority forget how it is. Like straight up, you forget how it was when you were in the trenches.
Yeah. And I think at this point, Captain Freeman is just like, she's tired of the crap jobs. She doesn't want to be the second tier ship. And so I think like this is hearing that and hearing someone so blatantly talk about it and so blatantly admit it, I think that's kind of what drives her here.
Yeah,
it doesn't ruin the episode or anything.
No, of course not.
It doesn't ruin the episode or anything. I just
it's just another point of it pokes at her insecurities.
Yeah.
I'll give you one line why it bothers me, because I can think of a better reason, which is no good thing to hold against a writer. But she should have said, when I did it, it wasn't like this. I deserved it. You're being lazy.
Yeah.
That's what see what I'm saying is that plays a little cleaner. So since I know that's a possibility,
I don't know if someone would admit that. Like maybe someone would, but
it's different when she did it. They called it buffer time, but it wasn't like this. They were more efficient. They were better.
Sure, but I don't think Freeman would ever admit that. I think she would just be like, I was perfect.
No, that's fair. That's what Boimler says. He doesn't have any.
Yeah.
So like,
which I love. That's to swing it back to things I really like. I love that this works great for him. I've been Boimler before. Everybody else is like, this sucks, and I'm like, you mean this ideal situation?
What are you talking about? Productivity's up across the board.
Yeah,
we're getting so much work done.
Look, the number is going up.
Line goes up. Smile, make happy. So of course she takes away buffer time, and everybody gets the notice on their iPads. And Boimler's like, yeah, it'll be fine. We don't need buffer time. It's all right. And then 2 weeks. What was it? A week later?
Yeah, it was a week later.
Yeah, everybody's like running around,
dying,
completely stressed out.
Just throwing tubes. things.
Yeah,
People tripping over things and
all the tubes.
There's so many tubes.
Notice who's hiding the tubes though. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's just it's a neat clue. I don't think that spoils anything. That's just a guy we meet later, and he's a tube guy. That makes perfect sense.
I'm sorry, just sentences you don't think you'll hear.
The tube guy.
He's a tube guy.
Yeah, he's a tube guy.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
And Ensign Peter here has managed to get everything done properly.
he's thriving. This is his.
Yeah. He's got the green
circle is green.
Yeah.
What don't you like? What is happening right now?
Okay, so meanwhile, Mariner's going on this away mission with Ransom, who does this like Riker pose a lot. I guess this is not really limited to Riker, because I saw there's at least one clip of Next Gen where Riker's standing on a rock and like leaning on it, and then Geordi comes up and he's like, "Oh, that looks cool. I'm gonna do that too." So they both stand on the rock like that. I don't know
I'm glad you pointed this out.
But I think about Riker.
I've never noticed this about Ransom before. Yeah, he's doing the Riker maneuver.
He is 100%.
I wonder if he sits in chairs weird.
Maybe. Oh, in that scene though, he was talking about all the things that could go wrong on an away mission, and there were some callbacks in there to, famously bad away missions. But one thing he said sentient tar, but I heard sentient targ, as in the Klingon pig-like animal, or I guess more warthog-like animal. So I was like, oh, I want to see sentient targs.
Well, there's Toby the Targ. That's a talking Targ.
This is true. That's true. But that's a kid's story.
But I'm sure he got a live action gritty reboot at some point. Kind of the Buzz Lightyear action.
Oh, okay.
Thing.
Yeah. Do they have copyright in the future? Are they just trying to keep up their
please.
Oh no.
Yes, we 100% do. DRM and copyright is the very basis of their financial society. In this TED Talk, I shall talk soon. I'm actually planning a whole thing to talk about that. Yes, they absolutely have DRM and copyright to a ridiculous degree in Star Trek.
It was it got brought up in Voyager.
Voyager, yeah.
Yeah, the Doctor couldn't get his novel published.
Okay, I will give you just one. The Doctor himself is protected by DRM. The reason that they can't make a copy of him is simply because when Zimmerman wrote him, he wrote, there are 1,000 copies of this guy that you can distribute, and nobody questions making 1,001. Actually pirating the Doctor is so unthinkable, they decide to make their own instead of making a new copy. And the reason I know this is because there was a copy in the buffer that those guys from 700 years in the future found and just cracked. They didn't give a crap. They found that there was a copy in there, and they just like, oh, and they turned him on, and there he was. So he only didn't activate because they only had one license, and he was it. And they just absolutely refused to pirate him and make a copy. That is just on the screen, you guys. But that's not the only thing that's there. I can go into Hollow Pursuits. I can talk about the likeness rights, the ability to use other people's character likenesses without permission. It's a whole thing that actually makes a cohesive sense. But we're talking about Lower Decks right now. Also, I want to show you something. Hold on. The line goes up, you guys. Right? The line goes up. Look, it's green. Don't you understand? This is fun.
Okay, so at some point during this whole exchange, Ransom tells Mariner to roll up her sleeves because it's not professional, and she
roll down. Those are roll
down her sleeves.
Yeah,
roll down her sleeves because it's not professional, and obviously she's.
No, he said it wasn't regulation. Didn't he say that?
Something.
I don't remember exactly what he
almost certainly did.
It would be nice if we could play clips.
There is some precedence to that. So we're clear.
O'Brien wears his up all the time. Like we're watching through DS9 right now. We always see his forearms. Like
Yep.
I don't think I've never not seen his forearms except when he's like in dress uniform.
Higher ranking officers basically have a dick clause where they can come to you and tell you that you're not wearing your stuff in regulation and you have to get it to my standards, the way I like to wear it, or else. And the reason I know this is because Ensign Rowe did it. They said you couldn't wear your religious artifacts. My goodness. And they said that on Voyager as well. They made them wear it exactly right. So you can actually walk up to Worf and say you're not allowed to wear that, and he has to take it off.
Yeah. But yeah, he gets to wear it.
He gets to wear it because nobody's pulling the dick clause. You only enforce it when you're being a dick. And you're only being a dick because you want them to know that you don't like them. So it's like, for some reason, it's completely legal to bully your subordinates.
Hazing clause.
Hazing clause. That's actually better. Yeah, there's a hazing clause.
Yeah.
I wonder if some of it is the fact that, for the most part, in the society where you don't have monetary consequences, where you only have basically status consequences, that is a way to keep people in line, as it were, of the, you're not acting Starfleet, I'm going to be extra Starfleet at you. I don't know.
Unfortunately, I can only agree because it is explicit on screen that that's the case. Yeah. I wish it wasn't, but it absolutely is. Maybe that's something New Trek will fix. Maybe they'll have a Muslim person with a head wrap. If I'm being offensive, I don't mean to. They'll say you can't tell me to take it off. Would be something I would like to see, to give me some canon reason to say that they're not allowed to do this. But there isn't any. Anytime it comes up, they are absolutely allowed to do that all the time. Like, even when Captain Kirk has his thing open, you can actually, if an admiral can come over and tell him he has to close it, it's totally a thing. While he has his open, he can do it.
I saw this gag coming from a mile away.
Oh yeah.
Welcome to Star Trek. To be fair, welcome to Star Trek. This is how it is everywhere. For some reason, everybody else's culture is kind of mean. I don't know why that is.
No. Just the fact that the crystal wasn't going to be in that box. Like that.
Of course.
Well, but they've been under so much stress trying to get everything done in such a quick time. Of course, it's going to make a mistake on the manifest.
Yeah, how it happens.
And I'm actually glad to be seeing this in freeze frame, because I literally thought that those three little leaves were a bow when I saw them.
That's fair.
I thought they were until he zoomed in. I thought it was a girl block.
Oh man. So the other thing we were thinking about with these guys is, like, for one thing, they've just been introduced into, they've been they just joined the Federation.
Right.
So, like, nobody, like, all the work they had to go through to get Bajor to join, and they let these guys in, and they still got capital punishment where they can smash you with a crystal, and like they don't know about all their prejudice against wood people or whatever. It's like, what happened? Why is
Bajor said no.
Federation? The Federation's just letting anybody in now.
No, for real. Bajor said no.
Yeah, Bajor said no. That's true.
Yeah, you have that.
But there's so many other.
Yeah, but they were preparing to get Bajor in there for like years and years and years.
And Bajor kept saying no.
Yeah.
No, that's like Federation was like, come on, we'll let you have capital punishment, and they were like, maybe next year.
Actually, no, Bajor was ready to do it, but then Cisco said no. So
he did.
Yeah.
Let's
Bajor must stand alone.
I just realized I've added a bit of canon that isn't fair. Did you guys ever see the Deep Space Nine documentary?
Yeah.
Ira Bear directed. He had this really clever idea of doing a writer's room and doing episode 1 of season 8 of Deep Space Nine. And they went ahead and they put it 30 years in the future. And they said, Bajor still hasn't joined the Federation because it's our show and we can do that. They're still saying no all those years in the future. So that kind of stuck with me as something that actually happened. But you're right. It's not real. They didn't actually produce that episode.
So you think that this kind of goes into, something that recently happened on Picard, which, maybe I'll talk about in the spoiler zone. So what you're saying is it's very easy to join the Federation.
I'm having a
this is not unprecedented.
It's not unprecedented. All I'm saying is you can't use Bajor as your example, because Bajor was 100% the other way. That was everybody going, that was everybody going, come on, join us, please. And then kept saying no. It was not them not being ready. Not in the slightest.
And then there was some sort of comment, when the away team is getting captured, that Mariner like makes some sort of callback to Kirk in the original series, because they're getting taken over with spears.
Yeah.
More
so many spears.
Yeah, there's been a lot of spears. And getting thrown into a primitive prison, that's a thing. And then having to fight their champion with
your shirt off.
With your shirt. I'll save it for the spoiler zone, but just Strange New Worlds did something this week that just scratches that canon itch for me. I want to talk about.
That's fair. I think it's interesting that they get taken because they aren't fighting. Like, they have phasers. They could have fought back. They were trying to do it the diplomatic way. And I'm going to point this out to keep in mind for later episodes. When Ransom was giving that rousing speech and really tried to use diplomacy, that is something that comes up with people in command later.
Yeah, that's true.
To be fair, Mariner did fight back in this scene, but she was
Mariner did that weird. Yeah, she had that like punch,
four-limbed attack.
People.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
And
he's doing it again.
He's doing it again.
I can't see it now.
There just happened to be a little piece of crystal in there.
Yeah, just there for him specifically.
Of course. And she does it back to him, not because she's doing it, she's mocking him. Like, I can put my leg up on a crystal too.
So yeah, we get introduced to the their champion guy. He's going to just like bash their spirits out.
Yeah, this feels really classic next gen to me.
Yeah.
I agree.
Also just a splash of like TOS animated as well. It gives me that feel. Of course, they could never fight anybody on that show, but the idea exists in that universe, you know.
It's just a game of like, how do we explain what the hell's going on in each of these slides?
I do like these Vandals a lot. Star Trek sometimes has a hard time making clear what it is they're trying to do. These are a bunch of just.
Oh no, we lost Peter.
He'll be back.
Yes, he will.
Well, the thing that I thought was really funny was that like the reason that the ship was basically being overrun was just the fact that everybody was too busy trying to keep time.
Yes.
That Boimler was able to start fighting back against this incursion because he had finished everything he needed to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the captain was like, fight him off, but don't stop doing your job.
Yeah. And to Kim's point, he's like, you guys have spheres. I've got a phaser, and just phasers them.
I have a phaser.
These are pumpkin festival people. These are people that are just running around and knocking things over and setting trash cans on fire, and everybody else is like, "Well, I don't have time to deal with that." Just going back to work.
They're gonna keep on
and
schedule.
The fact that they are in fact chumps, it's easy to defeat them physically.
Yeah,
but yeah, you cannot prioritize things when your boss tells you what to prioritize and a situation is out of the norm.
Yeah, that's true. So this was interesting. Like, for some reason, like, yeah, Mariner like showed him all of her scars, which she's kept, which she could easily get removed, but she hasn't.
Yep.
That is not a good sign mentally.
Just hardcore, I guess.
Oh, that's so bad though.
Yeah, that's like the Star Trek version of cutting.
Yes, it is. It is not good. She could wave a magic wand over those at any time, and she decides she keeps them. Yeah. Oh, that is so not good.
Yeah. Later, Dr. Tanya asked her, "Does she want to remove them?" She's like, "No, these are my battle scars."
Yeah, it's like, are you okay? Sure, you're not part Klingon.
There were some some so-so books from Next Gen back in the day, and I read one that had a Starfleet officer that had that problem. He had scars just everywhere where his clothes did not show, and like Troy caught him with it one time. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna get those fixed." And then of course it turned out that he was cutting, he was hurting himself, and it was totally a thing. So I see that, and I'm just like, whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's not good. Actually, of all the things she's done, this is like one of the bigger red flags for me.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess, I'm going to forgive it, but we have seen her with her shirt off before, and she didn't have those scars in the first episode.
That's
so
true.
Either they're very recent or there's just selective
show.
Attention to detail. Yeah.
Or they're pointing out that this kind of in continuity happens in Star Trek all the time.
Absolutely.
True.
Yeah.
We're going to give him credit for
Macho
being
Magata.
smart. I give him credit for all kinds of random shit. Why not?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and then he stabs her in the foot. So that she
Well,
won't
okay,
be
because they're
able to
having an
fight.
argument who's going to save everyone.
Yeah.
And
Because
I am at this point I'm with Ransom. He's the senior officer. It is his job. That's like if he were wounded, sure, I'd understand Mariner stepping up, but like that's his job. But then he stabbed her in the foot.
more than that, this is diplomacy. He has
Yeah,
met her,
that's true.
has an equal on her level, and has played
Yep.
the rules, played the game by her rules in a way that
Yep.
she would accept and calm down.
That's true.
He's a brilliant diplomat. This is
Yeah.
she has nowhere to go now but to sit down and shut up.
I will say that one more
brilliant. I'm sorry. No, I will not give you brilliant, but he is a diplomat.
I think he did that on
I think
purpose.
he has more diplomacy than we think he does.
I think he did it as a diplomatic action. He certainly wouldn't do that to Boimler, even if Boimler wanted to fight him. He wouldn't do this. He's like, all right, this is the kind of person that needs to be outsmarted. Stab. You've been outsmarted. Sit down and shut up. I'm gonna die on that hill. He did that on purpose.
There was one more thing about the scars. So she's like, "Where are your scars, buddy?" And he's like, "I don't have any." And I was like, "How does she know you don't have any?"
Well, I guess it's just the thing that you just assume that no one does, because why would you keep them?
Yeah. Well,
That's
and
fair.
then I made the mistake of trying to say something, but I ended up saying, "Oh, because she pegged him."
I don't.
And then
I
Nick
don't.
took that in the wrong direction. I meant she's got him pegged.
She's got him pegged. It's a little different than she's pegged him. That was also the reason that she knows he doesn't have any scars.
This might be something that becomes a plot point later, but this bro likes to lift like a lot. Has that been an issue yet? Have you ever seen him lift?
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
James,
he got
you'll know better
all
than
the.
us.
I will risk the spoiler. This is a dude that likes to be
he-
shirtless and lift in front of people. He has absolutely invited everybody on that ship to lift with him, and everyone has done it at least once. That's why I don't have any
That's fair.
scars. I've shown you my flexi body. Shit, he might even have done it as his talent. He might have come out right.
Just oiled like buff man show.
Yeah, that.
But he is shirtless whenever he can be on the ship. That's honest to God. That is what I thought when he's like, I don't, because I don't wear a shirt.
And also, like, when he became the giant godhead a couple episodes back, like he was like, "I'm gonna make a sweet gym," and he like got all the gym equipment together.
Right,
that was episodes back or forward. I thought that
I
was
think it's forward.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay,
Yeah,
James,
forward.
have you seen Ransom lift, bro?
I don't think so. I
You
don't
would
know.
I don't think so.
No,
Yeah, I
you
don't
would
think
know.
I've seen
The
him
answer,
so far.
if you had seen it, the answer would be yes. This bro lifts, and I'm not even. It's not a spoiler. It's just a general thing. Like it's kind of like asking, have you ever seen Riker play the trombone? Like, have you ever seen Ransom lift? Because that's what he does in his off time. And he is the more qualified person to have this battle.
It was a vision of the future. Sorry about that. All right. Oh, and then he got shiny.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know why he was only shiny right there.
There was one scene where like he stood like all muscular and he was just shiny all torso.
Yeah.
But
it took him a second. Like, he got out and got sweaty, and then the sweat became shiny.
I think it's just a callback to like when Kirk fights anyone, like he just turns that brilliant shade of baby oil.
Yeah.
And it's the trope of I'm showing off my muscles, so I'm going to look as good as possible.
And they animated that in. They had to put effort into making that happen.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
You're supposed to.
Yeah, I did.
I'm gonna go on a slight tangent, but I promise I have a point. At DragonCon, I was in an episode or in a panel with James Marsters for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and how he was talking about how he specifically asked the writers to give him a heads up if he was going to be shirtless so he could take a few weeks to like really cut down his body fat. And then another actor in that same panel said, man, I wish they'd given me that, because they had him in an episode and he looked like a normal person with normal muscle under normal layers of fat, like, you know, normal people that aren't bodybuilders. And it makes me wonder about Star Trek, like how much time did they give them, and like how much, I don't know. But this is animated, so they can just have anyone pull off their shirt.
Well, Shatner's really the only one that ever went shirtless, and I honestly think that was his own choice. And I'm not even making a joke. Like the new number one, she gets to decide if she's going to wear the dress or not. I think Shatner just took his shirt off when they started filming, or ripped it.
Always ripping his shirt.
That was his choice, right? It wasn't really the costumers, was it?
I don't know, but it's pretty funny.
Well, we would have seen more of them shirtless if that was the case, I think.
Yeah, I will say that Enterprise is definitely a lot more shirtless.
Right. Yeah. Enterprise, they gave them a heads up. I think they probably had a requirement of how much gym time they needed. Actually, that's not baseless, because they were given Garrett and Robbie such a hard time on Voyager. They probably had it in the contract that they had to go to the gym some certain amount of times for the sex appeal on Enterprise.
Yeah, there was a
Rick
lot more
said from his
shirtless
freaking boardroom, never going to the gym in his life.
Yeah. This show needs to be sexy. Yeah, he easily deals with this guy with double punches.
That's another continuity nod that I really love. It definitively shows that like double-fisted fighting is a martial art and is effective. This is the kind of thing I like. If you establish that shit, then you've got to pay it off 50 years later. I demand it.
Does anybody know if that's actually effective, like as a combat maneuver? Like if you're,
there's no way it can be.
I want to talk to a martial artist and be like, hey, does this work?
I am not a fighter that's ever hit anybody, but I've done this in joking before, and I can tell you from having done it all my life that it's no. Like, this feels a lot better than this, and I've done this a lot. It's not good.
Yeah, it cuts your amount of it cuts your amount of the arc of your swing.
Yeah, range of movement.
Also, like you're using like the very fleshy part of your arm. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Unless you got spikes along your arm, like what is that going to do?
A nice pad. That's pillowy.
Yeah.
You know, you're supposed to make sure to pull your thumb out when you punch. So if you do this, you're actually creating a problem for every single finger.
Right.
Yeah.
With that said, I will say that they've done also a lot of palm strikes, and those are good. You're not usually a puncher kind of person. That is a good way to not break your hand.
Sure.
But it's a martial art in Star Trek.
Sure enough. It is an effective one.
It's an effective martial art in Star Trek. If somebody hits you with a double fist and you no-sell it, you are the problem.
So Boimler finally tells the captain that, you know, not everybody is a Boimler and everybody's having problems with this buffer time thing. And she's like, you know what? Screw it. Okay, go back. Do whatever you need to do to get rid of these people. So they're finally able to repel the
I think he says something. He says something here that is like, you know, you're a great captain. Let your crew be a good crew, or something like along those lines. I was like, I liked that. That was good. He recognized that.
And what she took away from it was, I am a great captain.
Pretty much, yeah.
This also, shows a concept that I like personally. When people go by any means necessary, they never think of the kindness side, right? Like, you settle that strike by any means necessary. Oh, okay, I made a deal with them. They're going to get some of the pay they were asking for. No, not like that. Like, so she tells them to do whatever they have to do by any means necessary to get their job done and get these guys off the ship. And she means take breaks, talk to your friends, right? Like that phrase is never used for good in the real world, and it kind of always bothered me.
Yeah,
you know, like sure. EA will do anything to make money, and it's like, well, will they make a good game? Will they do like the things we say they need to do? And they're like, no, they'd rather lose money than do that. You just said they would do anything. You just said evil was the way to make the most money and greed is powerful. Why aren't you capitulating and doing what people want you to do then? It's because I'm evil.
You may not be wrong.
True.
I'd love to see it actually played out. That's all I'm saying. It's a phrase that always bugs me when I see it. And so in this case, like that's what any means necessary means. Sometimes you got to kill him. Sometimes you got to kiss him. Any means necessary.
So once they repelled everybody, it's like, oh, no harm, no foul.
Well, and then like for the second, round of this, like they sent him instead of Ransom. Like, so I think there was some sort of concerted effort there.
This guy gets it.
Yeah. The most violent dude we got. Let's send him out there. He'll do the peace negotiations perfectly. And he did. Yeah. Why not?
He played to their strengths.
Yeah. And this is when we had the confrontation between Ransom and Mariner after she got back. And he's basically like, okay, I understand you're going to do your report and tell on me and everything. She's like, I'm not going to tell on you. And then she's like, oh, man, that's cool. And then, like, okay, take her to the brig.
He tells on
she
her.
She didn't pull her sleeves down. Yeah.
Not a fan. Shouldn't have sent her to jail.
No.
They sent her to jail too much.
Yeah,
she's not going to learn any lessons this way.
She pretty much says that as she is dragged out the door. She's like, the brig's my favorite place.
Yeah, exactly.
And I believe her when she says that.
Yeah.
I did like that she threw things at him on the way out too. It was pretty great.
And the dancing in his blood, like, oh, I should have let them kill you.
Dance in your blood.
Dance in your blood.
So you can see I'm not even laughing. I'm just stone faced over here. I'm like, he should have been like, great. Thanks for not telling them. You will report to the psychiatrist immediately. Like, and then have this entire scene play out exactly like this, but instead of the brig, it's to the mental health.
That would have made even more sense.
I don't. It's the brig. Really,
get that scar situation taken care of.
Talk to somebody about why you still have scars.
That would just be a little bit too much for this blatantly filler episode.
You're not wrong, and you will find out why later. You're not wrong about that.
And then the episode. Yes. So now Boimler has a rule about it being okay to break the rules, which he hates.
Well, to take time and to goof off and to not do exactly what they were asking you to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they're like, okay, well, it's fine. Like, people will forget about it in a couple of weeks, and then in the far future.
So there was something about the far future that I thought was interesting, and we couldn't find a screen cap of it. But in the front row, there's a kid with a Borg-looking cybernetic implant on their face.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
yeah, you can kind of see it.
Yeah, you can't really see it in this picture, but
over who looks to be a long-time descendant of Boimler.
I
yeah, that's true.
It was like it's a tiny Boims.
Yep. Mini Boims. Got an Andorian. Got two Ferengi. Got a Cation.
Yeah.
This is a little too real to history, man. This is how it rolls.
You're not wrong.
Yeah,
my favorite version of this in history, the most epic fail that I can think of, is the Salem witch trials. Because they were legitimately trying to get rid of witches. They actually said, we need to make sure that Salem and witches are not associated. That was their plan. And in the far future, thousands of years in the future, Salem and witches are going to mean the same damn thing. Wow, guys. The thing you wanted to achieve and the thing you did are so different that it's epically like fascinating to me. So yeah, there's Boimler, what he was trying to achieve and what he actually did.
Yeah.
Polar opposites.
Now he's doing the Riker pose, standing on the rock. With the great bird of the galaxy.
The great bird of the galaxy.
Yeah. Why is there a bird? I don't know, but
because
okay.
Gene Roddenberry is the great bird of the galaxy.
And I love that, like, even somehow, even though this was just like a carving, that it's almost like he had to pose for this. Like, it is like, I don't like this bird or anything about this.
It took a hollow scan.
This was before Discovery season 3. So do we know in the timeline if this is before or after the burn?
This is just like the far future. It's not actually.
They didn't say like 1,000 years in the future, because that's where they went. I only mention it because like I think Prog Matter is a pretty cool idea, and they probably just like it's not a hologram. It's probably actually built molecules of solid gold. I don't know. I don't know to you, but to me, that makes it funnier that this is literally a solid gold statue of his failure.
Well, a statue that is also modular because
talk
about our hero, the hero of the greatest Starfleet officer that ever lived, Miles O'Brien.
But his sleeves aren't rolled up.
That's true. Yeah,
it is not a true depiction because his sleeves are rolled
up. He never rolls up his sleeve once he gets his first contact uniform.
Oh,
really?
Really?
I was like, I have to look at that. That's interesting.
What the reason I know that is because when I wear mine at DragonCon, I wear my first contact uniform. I roll up my sleeves because the tailors couldn't figure out how to do it, and I did. So I'm actually flexing when I do that.
I literally just figured you were being awesome.
I'm literally flexing on Robert Blackman by wearing the costume differently than he thought it could be done, and I've never told that to anybody. So world premiere. Nice. What do you think? It's because mine's an Anovos, and the problem is that stripe on the end doesn't roll up at all. But mine has a zipper, so I can unzip it and then push it up and then push it up. So I just throw those. I just throw those collars in the closet, and I never wear them. That's how I'm able to get away with it. But they never did that on Deep Space Nine. So from once he gets that gray one, he never rolls his sleeves up.
Interesting.
I'll have to pay attention when we're watching.
They call him
if you find this is definitely not one of those things where I'm like, don't prove me wrong. If you find it, oh my god, yeah, show me. I want to see that. I will literally take notes on that because I've read it, I know it, but I've never actually looked. Right. Okay. So it is possible that it's happened and the documentation is wrong. So let me know.
Yeah, I'll let you know because we're watching DS9 right now. We just got into first contact
uniforms.
So
nice, perfect timing.
Yeah. All right, yeah, that's our episode.
Yes, it was cute but pointless.
But it had all the things I wanted in it.
Sometimes but it could have had that and meant something, but it just didn't.
Did it though? Did it have to mean something? Can it just be a thing?
It had some social commentary about the importance of buffer time.
Look,
definitely, I would say that it was social commentary on.
And I want to remind you that it did launch at a time where I kind of needed that lesson.
Yeah,
and I needed to share that lesson with somebody else. So that is a real world thing. But it's like again, the show can't be just for me. So I'm with you. I'm just letting you know that actually was relevant at the time. At perfect time.
But it's still relevant. Amazon workers, that's literally how they work.
Yeah. No, sure.
Awful.
The subject is a thing, but it doesn't mean anything in the grander scheme of the show. But that's the thing. Like shows can have filler episodes, but episode 3 is your filler episode, and I don't even know how many episodes there are in this season. I'm going to assume not a bunch. So weird to throw a filler episode in general, but to do it so early.
Paramount Plus is in love with 10 episodes. I don't have to look it up. Every show is 10 episodes.
Yeah.
So then, you've taken 1/10 of your show and just thrown it away, basically.
The whole show is filler, though. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I just like the whole show.
There's not going to be any epic things going on here. It's not like serialized stuff like this guy.
But there's no character progression. There's no advancement in any sort of plot. Because apparently anything you can garner from this episode, you can garner from others.
I am going to disagree because I think Captain Freeman's change is the most important in this episode.
I would argue, James, that with our future knowledge, we would say that the introduction of her higher aspirations and how she is a little bit embarrassed, and that the ship itself is lower decks, are all relevant to the entire flow of the story. I will argue that, but you haven't seen it, so we'll have to see if you come back and agree later.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I could be just defending my baby. I could be defending my baby.
Well, and also and not nearly enough Tendi in this episode. What the hell?
Yeah, no, I
what you got
agree with that argument.
What you got was great though.
Yeah, that's true. But no, we need 10,000% more Tendi.
I've seen people cosplay just that outfit.
All the time. I love that.
In general, though, like just complete side note, drum face is a thing. And I've seen people who you would not think that they have drum face, but they have drum face.
I love it.
My favorite
I like being able to zoom now.
Is Lars Ulrich, and he does not have that drum face. And it's because he likes to sing along. So he's over there. That's how he plays. He has no mic on him, so you don't get to hear him sing.
All right. Well, with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and transition us into the spoiler zone so we can talk about whatever we want. So,
well, I guess, does this episode have Faith of the Heart?
Yes, that is true. Well, I know I have a prediction for what you're going to say.
Yeah, that's a solid no for me, dog.
With me, go ahead.
I would say that for me it does, because not only it kind of gives you some slow building character development, but I really like the pushback against hustle chud culture. I thought that was really nice. That provides enough faith of the heart for me.
Last week I decided to raise my standards on what's faith of the heart. Otherwise the whole thing would be, and I'm like, oh, that's just no fun. So last week I would have said, but I changed. I decided to do that so late in the game. I didn't think it was fair. So last week I would have said no. This week though, it does meet all of my requirements. I definitely give it faith of the heart because I thoroughly enjoyed everything about this, except for the iPads. I still don't like them. That should be.
Now I'm curious, what are your new requirements?
I can't remember what it was I didn't like about last week's episode. I just can't remember what it was. But there was, if I have like 3, oh, you're right, James, because he's not gonna like it. I'm like, no, you make a good point, and I didn't like that either, and I just forgot it. If I go, right, you know what, I gave that a pass, and I do that a certain number of times, then I'm gonna say, in all scores relevant to the show itself. So if I'm comparing it to an episode of Voyager, that's a different story. But compared to the show, if it's going to have it. But this show, I didn't have any of those. Oh, I see. I kind of forgot that was inappropriate. I think her scars, for example, are a really bad sign, but I don't think it's a plot-breaking moment. A plot-breaking moment I did think was that she didn't know what buffer time was. That's not good. But if I had like 3 of those, I would say so. But this one, no. There's nothing here that I did not specifically ask for in my dreams, and then Mike McMahon went by with some kind of like two things right here on my temples and pulled it out of the holodeck and recorded it. So this is great.
That's valid. So James, did it have faith of the heart?
No.
And you have faith in the heart in the show?
I mean, out of 3 episodes, I have given only 1 faith of the heart, so not tracking well. But I'm welcome to be wrong about the show as a whole. I'm sure that I will be, because it's definitely going somewhere, but they're not giving me a clear vision of where that somewhere is.
That's
I'm
valid.
afraid that we're going to get the things that I think are absolutely epic, and you're going to be like, finally, something decent. So I'm not so sure your mind's going to change. This picture is from Star Trek Las Vegas, and you can see here the rings, the stripe, and I don't have the stripe. See, I had to remove it in order to roll my sleeves up.
Valid.
That's a literal flex. I'm like, yeah, I could do it. Huh? What do you think about that?
That's fair. I will say that I enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed the social commentary. I enjoyed the little bit of character development that you do get. And I enjoyed the action because sometimes it's good to just, watch a whole bunch of people kick ass.
Chris, what do you think?
Faith of the Heart? I will give it a Faith of a Heart, but on the low
just
end.
One faith.
Just one. just one faith, actually. Yeah.
One faith out of 3.
Because I when I was reflecting after we watched it today, I thought I was with you, James. I was like, wow, that really just didn't really go anywhere, and there was some weird kind of loopholes where who are these people? Why are they attacking the Federation? Anyway, those little tiny things kind of, but it was still fun. I enjoyed it, and not enough Tendi.
Yeah. That's fair.
That's valid. Fair. That's valid.
Mm-hmm. Am I back yet?
My love.
Right. But the Venn diagram of loving Tendi and Peter's hatred for the iPads, she did smash an iPad into one of those guys' faces.
That is very true.
We're finally fighting back, so put one to good use.
Absolutely.
Nice. All right. Well, I think I'm going to take that opportunity to bring us into the spoiler zone. So let's see if our
that's a bad time for me to fail. Am I back yet?
You're back.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, Chris, I was going to encourage you to actually mark it as no faith of the heart because that's the fun of binary. See, the binary thing is that you have to decide, and you basically said
shades of gray, man.
You're saying I don't like it, but not enough to give it no faith, and I'm like, no, we should raise the bar. That way, when you do give it faith, it has more value.
It's not that I didn't like it. I enjoyed it from I'm turning my brain off. I'm enjoying this thing. But when I start to think about it and nitpick things, I'm like,
You don't have to take my advice, but I'm saying that is my goal. You asked me what is my barrier for no faith. That's it. So if I felt that was the case, I would have given it no faith, and I encourage you to do the same. Have the courage to say.
If I really don't like it, then I will give it no faith. But I think there
is no episode for me that falls on that far. None.
The first episode that was it for me.
For me, I have to go find another episode of Star Trek and put that in its place. I just have to go give me any episode of Picard. There you go.
That's a valid thing. In just 3 episodes, we went from this is kind of like Rick and Morty in space, and now it's just Star Trek. There was a little bit of Rick and Morty in the second episode, but none in this one. This was just pure Star Trek.
Yeah, it was a lot less Rick and Morty.
Pure Star Trek. All right, so I couldn't get it to do it. So it's 4 out of 5 Face of the Heart today. Oh, you guys didn't know that's how I was scoring every episode.
So
I stand alone on this one.
That's all right.
All right.
See, and I will say, there are episodes of other Trek that I have no faith of the heart in.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know if I have one for this series.
No,
I don't remember.
I don't think so. No.
That first
not
episode.
Even the first episode on a regular Trek's voting schedule. Not even the first episode does that for me. So I have to give it special. I have to give it special grading if I'm going to do anything but gush. So
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's see if we can get into spoilers now.
Irritating. Ah, yes. One of your Earth emotions.
That is really loud.
It was in fact irritating.
Irritating.
But
now everybody knows that we're in the spoiler zone, and our eardrums are also very well informed of that fact.
So my first spoiler is from the latest episode of Strange New Worlds. It's such a small thing, but I know I'm not making it up. They did this on purpose. Number 1 wasn't feeling good, and she felt the need to rip her shirt. and she did it Kirk style. She grabbed it right here, and she pulled down a Kirk tear right here. Yep. And I know they did that shit on purpose.
Of
and
course
I'm like,
they did.
Well, not necessarily. Like just 2 weeks ago, you could not tell if something was on purpose or not. So this show was paying attention, and I absolutely gobbled it up. And it is relevant to today's episode because Ransom did the same thing. He didn't rip it Kirk style, but he just Kirk ripping is canon. You can just you can grab a TOS shirt and go like this, and it will just show your bicep. You're good.
James, are you watching Strange New Worlds, or are you?
No, this is all I'm watching.
All right, fair enough. I mean, it is a brand new Star Trek series.
It's brand new. It's serialized theoretically, and it's only 2-3 episodes in.
3 episodes in.
Third one that just came in.
Okay, no spoilers at all, James. I'm going to pitch this to you, and you're going to be like, okay. The Enterprise goes to a strange planet where something has gone terribly wrong. Then they get wrapped up in those events, solve it, and leave.
Sounds innovative.
So it's so not. You can hear the machine going. It's great. I love it.
I will say, this is the most. This episode reminded me more of 90s Star Trek than anything else I've seen in the modern era. Mm-hmm. Even Lower Decks, because Lower Decks has got its own thing going. It's definitely the most referential of 90s Star Trek, but that tone wise, that story wise, really hit those marks. It felt like a DS9 or a Voyager episode.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So where are you guys at with Deep Space Nine? If you just introduced the uniforms, have we gotten to the?
Well, they were introduced in this beginning of the season. We haven't gotten to the Dominion Wars yet, but the Dominion has come into the Alpha Quadrant.
We're in the very last episode of the 5th season, so we're about to.
So we're about to get into the heart
taken over by the Cardassians.
Being a uniform nerd, that uniform switch tells me exactly which episodes it is because it's specifically Bashir. Something happens with Bashir that's revealed later. Did you get that far?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So when Bashir shows up, he's wearing the pre-uniform change uniform, which means he had to have been a shapeshifter for the last 4 episodes, which means a shapeshifter did brain surgery on that guy.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, sorry, your boyfriend died. I did brain surgery, and I only a pretend doctor.
No, I think that shapeshifter literally had to learn everything that Julian would have known.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god!
Because otherwise, he would not have been able to pull it off.
Or they would have chosen a shapeshifter who was able to know those things,
and he knew more things than the doctor did, so they wouldn't have even been able to try it. It's actually pretty brilliant, James. The episode, not so much. The premise is brilliant. He has a brain hemorrhage, right? I can actually replace that part of his brain with a robot, right? And it works until the other half of his brain dies. So they try to replace the other half of his brain with a robot. A very risky procedure that, spoilers, we're in the spoiler zone, does not work and he dies.
Shocking.
You know what? But also the shapeshifter does surgery on Cisco.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And because we've already watched this, so we already know, but we're watching and I'm like, oh wait, this is the shapeshifter. Like he's doing surgery on Cisco. And I don't know. I was like, is he doing some shady stuff and we just don't even know it yet?
This was when Cisco was getting these visions from the prophets that were showing in the future and everything. It's like maybe the shapeshifter took that away and he told them that was their only chance because he didn't want Cisco knowing what the prophets are trying to tell him.
I can't in good faith not mention my actual headcanon for this. When they captured Bashir, they beamed him out of the shower and they just threw a uniform from his closet at him. That's why he doesn't match.
Well, he specifically said that he was on his way back from a conference. So
I still think that they
could have.
They knew those Starfleet guys like their uniforms. They don't want to just have a human lying around. They like them when they dress up. So they grabbed a uniform and they threw it at him. Said, "Put this on, slave." That's what I think happened. That's legit. That's what I think happened. So that I like to go back and say that he did the brain surgery, but I don't think he actually did in my personal canon on that. And because again, this is all uniform nerdy shit. The reason that is the really expensive trials and tribulations where they Forrest Gumped the Deep Space Nine crew into an episode of the original series was really expensive. And they said, "Hey, this new movie's coming out. You have to change uniforms." And they were like, "Not until this one's done. Not until this episode is finished." Also, they wanted to wait until they didn't want Deep Space Nine to reveal the uniform, so they had to wait till the movie was out. But then they said, okay, we can do that, but we're also not doing it until the end of Troubles and Tribulations because this shit is expensive, yo.
Yeah.
You know, I know you guys want to know all about the uniforms.
There is definitely a contingent of Trek fandom that is all about the uniform set.
Leo
you are
has,
the representative.
Watching this with Leo, he has specifically paused the episode and gone back to look at uniforms.
I wish I could join him. They've done too many now. I'm like, oh, it's too many uniforms. It's not canon. That breaks the rules. I'm out. You've done too many now.
I enjoy them.
I am absolutely aware.
So many options.
Singular. I am singular. That I did not like that. I'm what did we call it? It wasn't the dick clause. It was the hazing.
Hazing.
I like instituting the hazing rule, and now you're taking it from me. So I'm losing something with this diversity. That's it. I'm becoming a Nazi.
It's in direct.
I just
conflict.
hate to do this.
It's in direct conflict with the origin of the word uniform. Can it really be a uniform if everyone's wearing something different?
Yes.
The X-Men say yes.
It's a multiform.
No, they don't. The X-Men don't say yes. There is a uniform. They just don't wear it.
But there's also like you think about like schools, like like you may not have like a set uniform, but you have like a uniform, like you have to wear this kind of pant and one of these 3 color shirts. So like that's more along the lines of that than.
Well, since Paramount Plus started doing it, I guess they own stock in costume manufacturers because they've literally done more costumes than all the other shows combined.
Yeah.
Like it's a little much. They even did that. They did that scene from like the Avatar anime where she looks back and she sees all of her past. No, wait, that wasn't them. It was he. He looks back and sees all the past ones, and so they threw some uniforms in there too, and those count. So we're talking literally like 20 uniforms that they've introduced. That's 15 too many.
Like watching the after Trek stuff. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, the Ready Room. Thank you. Watching that, like when they do their little like behind the scenes things, it sounds like they're under pressure to come up with all of these new things because they feel like they have to, like, oh, well, we have to one up ourselves. We have to keep reinventing, keep making it interesting. So I do think that is kind of interesting that is the direction that they've somehow been given versus like old Trek was like, nah, these are our uniforms. This is what we wear all the time, literally.
As much as I like those uniforms, I do have a criticism on that. The guy, Robert Blackman, who made those uniforms, he made all the civilian uniforms too. And for some reason, everyone across the galaxy likes a line that has a different color on the top than the bottom. Everyone everywhere. And I'm just like, oh, that's your disguise, Tuvok? Like one time Tuvok just basically took off his uniform and put on the same outfit, but a different color. And he was just like, there, perfect. And I'm like, okay. You guys only have the one pattern back there, huh?
Yeah,
like in the first episode of Voyager, where they went to that one planet where everybody was dressed like a candy corn.
They were dressed like a candy corn, but they also had the same uniform pattern. I'm telling you, it was the same outfit.
I'm so glad that I have apparently blocked out this episode of Candy Corn.
Oh no, it's
like,
great! I can't believe you don't remember this.
Well, and the thing that's really funny about like that, there's just this wealth of different uniforms now, but back during like the other series it was much more uniform, is that like way back in the 90s, with TNG and DS9, like Playmates went ham making action figures for this show, and would look for any reason to re-release a character. So whenever there was a new uniform, they're like, great, it's the whole crew in the new uniform. So like now they're doing that, but they're not doing toys.
Oh, they've come back. They're doing more toys now.
But there's no way they're doing that many because Playmates did a ton.
But they are selling a lot of the different uniforms on Trek.com.
That's true.
Not only is this a candy corn, like you said, that is their disguise. Tom Paris, the guy that wears a turtleneck, a red stripe, and black, has worn now red, and no turtleneck, and I can't tell who he is. Is that Nick Locarno? He's in such a good disguise. They're even wearing the badge in the correct place. Also, for real, that that neckline that doesn't have a curve on it, that's what the vests look like from First Contact. That all the vests look like that. So they're on this alien planet, and they did a reskin in real life. I don't know why they did that. So as I say, stop. As I say, stop making new uniforms. Well, so is going down to TJ Maxx. I don't understand why they had to use the same pattern on these outfits. As I say that, like, don't stop making new uniforms. I'm also saying at least they're wearing different clothes when they're not in uniform.
True. Although I did in this latest episode of Strange New Worlds, I love their away leather jackets. Like, I need one in my life. I agree. Because I love those things.
I normally don't like jackets because jackets become a new uniform. And I'm like, so you have like going to Aspen, Colorado uniform? Shouldn't you just have a jacket to put over your costume? So for the first time, they just put a jacket over their uniform. So they won me over with that, but everybody was wearing a different uniform into that jacket. So I just cannot win.
I did like that Leo pointed out that it was a callback to The Cage in that they had jackets over their uniforms in The Cage. And it's like, okay, we can get behind that. Mm. And I love how James is just like...
And now I say something.
So James, I didn't win you over at all with my premise, because if you told me that's what the episode was about, I would have been like, ooh, a new planet, you say?
Get into some trouble, do they?
And then the final thing, the aliens we encountered in a random episode before. Holy shit!
A different show.
Of a different show. They've just randomly grabbed one of the aliens they made at some point, and they said, "That's where we're going today." Yay! And you're like, nothing.
I'm happy you're happy.
Oh man. Do any of these shows grab your attention? Any of the premises? Like, what about the same show but long form, where all 10 episodes relate to each other?
I mean, I think that when you have like a consistent narrative, like of some point, whether it's just character progression or it's like, you know, Voyager, where it's always like, we're trying to get back home, like that just helps to kind of give you something to latch on to, you know, whereas, you know, that was my criticism of, you know, season 3 or episode 3 of Lower Decks. There wasn't really anything to latch on to. You were just watching things happen.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I've been on the other side of that because, you know, like I love to play tabletop RPGs, and like when you've got a really good group and everybody knows their characters, you know, like I'd be, you know, GMing a game and just come completely with nothing planned and just say, all right, you guys are in a bar. And then 2 hours later, I'd say, all right, we're done. And they just went crazy and just did their own thing. So like, yeah, like having nothing happen can be great if you like that version of nothing.
Okay, let me pitch this to you then. 10 episodes of an arc of somebody dealing with a trauma, but between each episode, we do a bunch of shit that doesn't make any sense and makes you more and more angry as it moves on, until when you finally get to the end, the payoff feels like they owe you something.
That I think I might give that a wide berth.
Do I have the show for you?
Yeah, but you know, I've heard season 3 is going to be really good.
Who told you that?
The people making the show did.
We told you
Paramount
the previous
started
season
talking
was
about
great.
it in the middle of season 2.
They were passing champagne. They were passing champagne bottles around at the end of season 2. Don't you care what a 99-year-old man thinks about his mother when he was 6? Don't you think that defines who he is as a grown-ass man?
It's not trauma.
Look. A guy that hasn't
forever,
quite
man.
hit 100 yet should have a girlfriend. Don't you want to see 10 episodes?
He's had lovers.
No, he needs a girlfriend. He needs it.
I guess
That was the premise of the show, wasn't it? Seriously, did I miss the? Is that not the premise?
No, that was essentially like
I think
Cube
that was
didn't want
part
him to
of
be
it.
alone.
Yeah, I think that was part of it, but that wasn't the main message of it for me. So
I wasn't even making fun. I really thought the main message was he needs a girlfriend. I really thought that was where they were going with that.
okay, that's not what I took away, but that's okay.
Well, I mean, what would you say? It was like, trauma doesn't have to define you. You can get past it.
No, like literally his trauma defined him.
It did, but
like it literally
defined
who he was and his philosophy on life.
Mm-hmm.
And he ran from it a lot. Ran from the trauma.
No.
Yeah, that's what I got.
It's not. I know, but that's what they tried to imply. But that's just not what happened.
I guess I don't know.
No, he ran from the orchard. He ran from growing the grapes because, again, this is all about the post-scarcity society and about reputation and ownership being a thing of DRM and copyright. You can only get so many bottles of Picard champagne from the Picard vineyard a year, period. It's a scarce resource. And because of that, it's highly sought out. So the Picard family has a inbuilt reputation of being great at growing grapes. And young Jean-Luc, he says, I want to go out and explore space. And his dad says, no, you can't do that. If you leave, we will lose everything. The Picard line will die out immediately. Your brother won't last forever, and he doesn't want any kids. There's nothing. You have to stay here and grow the grapes. So he eventually said, no, I will go and join Starfleet. And as soon as he turned 18, he ran off and he joined Starfleet, and he never looked back. So his trauma was, I have given up the legitimate legacy of my family and forged one for me personally at the sacrifice of the family name. That is literally what his whole deal is. The reason he's so professional is because he is trying to do his best to make it worth it. That's the trauma of the Picard vineyard. I wish they knew.
I guess that's not what they told in the second season of Picard.
No, that is not, no, but that is what they told in every other season of Star Trek.
Because pretty much in that season, he ran away to the stars because that's
But he didn't.
I guess that's
he
what
didn't
he
run
thought
away
his
for
mom
another
wanted.
12 years.
Well, yeah, but he was young.
He ran away because his dad wanted to go to the grapes, and then his dad died bitter, and then his brother had to get married and didn't get married until he was like 60, and they had a kid, and that was the one kid to carry the Picard legacy because no one else would do it, and then that kid died in a tragic fire, leaving the Picard legacy to finally die, which the season 2 actually acknowledged. They said, I'm the last Picard, but they didn't actually acknowledge that that's a bad thing because of the Picard fucking vineyard. Like that is the burden of land ownership, is that you have to own the land and maintain it and keep it, and that in a post-scarcity society that's more of a burden than it is a luxury. I don't care what that show says. That is what Picard ran from his whole life. That's why he made his legacy as big and as bold as he could, to make up for the fact that he literally betrayed his whole family by his standards, not by mine. Also, his dad lost his hair. Gaius Baltar said, at least I didn't lose my hair. Yeah, he did, actually. We saw his dad as an old man, and he did lose his hair. There you go. There's a 30-year-old spoiler for you. Nick, we should make that Picard episode at some point. We should let me bitch to the internet about. We'll just talk about the whole season. Yeah, about the 2 seasons and why I didn't like it.
Yeah, I think the problem with that is that I'd have to watch it again.
Nah, you don't.
The problem with that is no one apparently liked that second season, or even the first.
I haven't been paying attention.
Pretty much everything that I've seen and read is just like, what happened? Why?
That's everything I've seen, and I don't really follow it even.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a thing when they realized that they didn't know why they called it 10-4, because it was funny that you mentioned in Lower Decks whatever they have for 10-4, and I almost made a joke. Yeah, they have Downing Street. That's what they have on, because it's named after a bar on Downing Street. That's why they called it 10-4. Yeah, it's 125 Downing Street. That's why they called it 10-forward, because it just happened to be on deck 10 forward of the ship. It was actually named after 10 forward.
Yep.
That's when the rails came off, and
I thought it was clever, because in the beginning, he went to the bar to see Guinan, and it was 10 forward bar. So I thought she had just named her new bar 10 forward. Yes. I thought, excellent, that's great. I love it. Love everything about it. But then when he went back into the past, I'm like,
It's because they didn't know. Sadly, they just didn't know.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Since I'm the one that made it a bummer, I'm gonna take control, Nick, and I'm gonna put this back on.
Okay.
Yep. me and Nick
I've got it on my other screen because it makes me happy.
me and Nick can see that screen, so I had to share that. All right, I'm serious though. I don't think we need to rewatch Picard. We just need to talk about what happened in it.
No, if I rewatch it, I'll do exactly what I did the last time. I'll rewatch every episode piece that has Elnor in it, and then I'll be happy.
Then you're not watching much.
So one episode, because that was a hologram.
So not a lot.
What I was going to say, it's interesting human nature. When somebody screws something up, you start focusing on all the other ways they screwed up, and when somebody does something good, you kind of let that pass. Because we just did that in Lower Decks. I was like, that's fine, it's not a problem. But if I hated that episode, I'd have 1,000 reasons why it didn't work. Elnor, when he came back as a hologram, had a holo emitter on his arm.
He did.
Yeah,
he did. Do you know why he had a holo emitter on his arm?
Because of the timey-wimey future stuff.
Because Jerry Ryan said, wait, if he's a hologram, he needs a holo emitter on his arm. We all were in charge of that. She said when we were on Voyager, we all made sure that when the Doctor was around, that
Peter cut off, so I'm going to finish for him. That he always had a holo emitter on. And so I haven't gone back to look. Did the other holograms in season 1 have a holo emitter?
They did not.
So, no, I never saw
then
a
it's
holo
because
emitter.
Jerry Ryan, welcome back, Peter. It's because Jerry Ryan is the freaking bomb.
Yeah, Jerry Ryan did her job, but nobody was there to stop her and say, no, that doesn't apply here.
Yeah, because the ships themselves have holo emitters. They said that in the first season. Like the entire ship has holo emitters.
Then maybe he has one so that he could have gone off the ship if he needed to keep the thing away from the Borg. Yeah.
But I'm also going to argue, would the same thing have happened to Voyager in that alternate timeline? Because they were on the ship from the alternate timeline. So maybe it did. I don't know. But
if I may, because I ruin this kind of stuff. We are Star Trek apologists. Our job is to make it fit. So the answer is, what if he left the ship? So he grabbed a holo emitter. Why does he have one? Because they were able to reverse engineer it from Voyager, right? We can do that all day. Well, wait, that was a different timeline, so they wouldn't have that. There must have been an evil Voyager. I'm an apologist. So. I actually can make this work all day long. I'm telling you that the reason he had one is because Jerry Ryan was good at her job and said, when you're a hologram, you need a holo emitter. And then there was literally nobody on the set to go, that doesn't count here. There's holo projectors on the ship.
Yeah.
Nobody knew. Nobody knew. So they only went by what the expert knew. And
I appreciate that detail, because when I watched the episode, I'm like, why does he have a holo emitter on? That makes no sense.
And so he can leave, and it turned out he didn't need to. He managed to murder everyone. He killed all of those innocent people.
Yep.
On his own, and was like, "Oh, I don't need it."
They weren't innocent anymore. They were.
they were Borgified, though.
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize that becoming a Borg was irreversible. Wow, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, somebody should probably tell 7 of 9 that it's irreversible, and there's no reason to try. Oh, you know what? Picard can make her feel better because, wait.
Your mom
See, but you know what? Maybe they didn't have the technology right now. I don't know. I don't know.
See, this is what you get for not scheduling this Picard thing. Okay, so they mentioned specifically that lithium is a base metal that they use in order to create nanomachines or to better bind the nanomachines. So lithium exists anywhere. Like you don't have to live in a far future to grab lithium. So it's a cool idea, right? There's no lithium in batteries of a regular acid battery, lead-based battery in a car.
There are in the new electric cars, though.
There are those not. Okay, to be clear, because I have an electric car and it is full of lithium batteries, but it also has a regular lead battery in it.
Yeah.
So if you pop the hood, there's a regular lead battery there. That's because it's a lot easier instead of trying to pull power from this ungodly amount of power. If there's a failure, you still have your battery backup. And they specifically show late model engine gasoline cars that she's ripped the hoods off of. and she's eating the batteries that have no lithium in it. It has nothing but lead. It's like completely pointless. Like you could have gotten your lead from anything. You didn't have to rip all those batteries apart. All they had to do was have her go to a charging station, right? You guys have seen those. You've all hung out with me. I go and I charge my car sometimes, and then she could have just she could have just flipped over the cars and like stuck a straw in it, sucked all the lithium out of the bottom of some Teslas and a couple of volts and stuff, and that would have been really clever. That would have been great. But instead, they specifically say it has to be lithium, and then they specifically pull from lead. And I think just about everybody knows that. I think just about everybody knows that a lead-based battery, an acid-based battery, has acid in it, and a lithium battery has lithium in it. And I'm not even being sarcastic. I think most people know that. So that's a weird thing for them to do.
I didn't think about it at the time during the show. But now that you pointed out, it's like, okay.
Yeah, now we can not think about that at all.
I thought it was a great idea. I want to make that clear. That was clever as shit. How do you make Borg and cavemen times? You eat a Tesla, you eat it, and then you make nanomachines out of the lithium is brilliant. Oh, and you could just suck a whole Tesla and like, no, he's gonna go to Ash Williams' car. His 1979 car,
the Delta.
The Delta. We're just gonna pull it out of the Delta and do that. I'm just like, oh, okay, great idea that you.
Yeah.
All right. I'm being a bummer all day today. I'm sorry, guys.
I think that's probably a good place to stop it. Yeah, well,
yeah.
leave it on a picture of Tendy. We all love Tendy.
Oh wait, we can't do that because we can't see you in the spoiler zone.
10,000% more Tendy.
Thanks for coming and talking about Star Trek with me, you guys.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
You know, we rolled into this episode. We didn't really talk about it. What is the next time on Lower Decks? Do we know what the next episode is? That's how we'll end this. We'll make it positive with something fun to look forward to. Anybody know what episode 4 is?
I will look it up real quick.
I mean, it showed like scenes, but it was all just kind of disjointed stuff, so I don't remember anything specific.
Moist vessel, and that doesn't help. I don't know what that means. What episode is this?
Okay, so generation ship.
The generation ship. Yeah.
I don't remember right now.
It's one that's got a television.
Oh, okay, I remember now. Never mind.
Yeah. Oh, this episode's great. I can't wait for James to ruin it.
And if you want to see James ruin it, join us next time on
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.